The two fairy tale games on Nintendo DS are surprisingly amazing and fun to play, yet no one talks about them. But what exactly are these games, why should you play them, and why the heck do I get shirtless at the end of the video? Actually, you don't want to know why I do that. Hi, I'm Eric and I do everything, and fairy tale. Something tells me I don't understand it. While the anime is a bit controversial, it still has captured the hearts of many people with its great animation, charming characters. We don't talk about that, Timmy, but we will talk about the Fairy Tale DS game, so let's get started, shall we? First up is Tail Gekitou Madoushi Kessen, which was made by Hudson, who is also known for games such as Super Bomberman, Bomberman 64, and Bonk. Tail Gekitou was released as a 2D fighting game on July 22nd, 2010 to, well, unknown reviews, since I could find no reviews on this game on the first page of Google. Anyway, after booting up the game, there are a variety of different modes this game offers, such as the story mode, quest mode, versus mode, survivor mode, and customization mode, all of which offer pretty unique experiences. Starting with the story mode, right away jumps into the Daybreak arc, which involves spreading a book from a corrupt politician, as well as features cute anime maid girls, a rebellious Lucy, and the ability to beat the frick out of a politician with the help from a flying blue cat. Moral of the chapter? Being a politician's just frickin' fun! Speaking of beating up people, the gameplay is pretty much your typical 2D fire game, but it does have some interesting differences than one might normally expect. For example, this game really isn't that combo heavy, but rather it's a game which involves strategy, using the right moves at the right time, and trying to predict the other player's moves to counterattack. Essentially is anime rock paper scissors, and I'm all for it. You can move, block, dodge, hit, combo, and charge your special attack pretty much like any other game. But this game also features 3 special attacks you can do, which is honestly my favorite part of the game. The special attacks each feature the type of special attack, how much MP the attack needs, and which button you need to press to use the attack, which can lead to some pretty cool and interesting results, especially since you have the ability to counterattack the special attack with another one if the player, i.e. this loser, hey, keeps spamming the special move button over and over again. The type of special moves are divided into 3 types, with the first being the flashy elemental special attacks, which feature fire attacks like Natsu, ice attacks like Gray, key spirit attacks like Lucy, and sword attacks like Ursa, all of which have strengths and weaknesses against each other, making character selection an important factor in regards to fighting competitively, which, well, no one is. The special type of special moves are the boost special attacks, which feature getting stronger, making the other player weaker, having stronger punches, and healing. With the third type of special moves being the special attacks for wimps, i.e. shielding, 2 running boosts, and a jump boost that aren't flashy, but are still helpful for those who tend to play more defensively and strategy-like, i.e. not this loser. Okay, stop! Besides the special attacks, if you don't have any MP, you could either A. run away and charge your MP meter, or B. use the base attacks this game offers, which is honestly pretty much useless, as since there's only one button left for doing normal attacks, the B button, the combo potential in regards to the normal attacks are quite sad, meaning running away and charging your meter isn't really the best choice most of the time. That's not necessarily a bad thing, it's just that this game tends to focus more on strategy instead of combos, but in the case where you somehow don't have any MP, despite the fact that it's pretty easy to get a lot, using it is the most logical choice, though it doesn't defeat or counter special attacks at all, which is something I wish it did against the more weaker special attacks. Overall, gameplay wise, it's pretty fun, flashy, and doesn't give me motion sickness like a Dragon Slayer has. Would you shut up about the fan service already, Timmy? After completing the first chapter, defeating the politician, and getting the Daybreak book, we move on to the next chapter of the story, which focuses on the Eisenwald arc, which features the introduction of Ursa, some unimportant baddies like Igor, and the wispy words as a teenager. Oh, and did I mention frickin' Ursa? The battles in this chapter look frickin' stunning and beautiful, especially the Lullaby Demon fight in particular, which, speaking of which, I gotta give credit where credit is due. This game design look-wise, particularly when it comes to the characters, is pretty frickin' impressive, and I could tell there was a lot of love and care when it comes to it. Looking deep within the sprite sheets of each character, you could tell the developers took the time to ensure that each character had moves and animations that fit their overall personality. I especially like the fact that they made the character sprite sheets a bit more high contrast and colorful than normal, to ensure the characters wouldn't blend in too much to the backgrounds. Speaking of the backgrounds, they look good, nothing too special about them. But who cares about the backgrounds? That's right, screw nature. I want to talk about my favorite parts in regards to the looks of the game, and that are the freaking elements and special effects of this game. Not only do the elements and special effects look absolutely stunning, but I really love the little things they did when using them. For example, let's say Natsu hits someone using a fire breath. Sure, it looks amazing, but the sprites of the character changed to showcase the fact that they have been burned for a couple of seconds, which might seem like a small, needless thing to talk about, but shush. It's my rules, my video, frickin' deal with it. Speaking of dealing with stuff, you wanna know what the worst thing I had to deal with in regards to the game? No, it wasn't a versus screen that annoyingly crops up the character, nor was it happy looking like he's gonna drown me in milk and slap me with a fish. No, it's the fact that they made Gray strip at the beginning of the fight. Shirtless anime boys is why I can't get frickin' laid! Overall, when it comes to the look of this game, despite the resolution size, it honestly looks stunning and amazing. I swear if you mention fan service one more time, Timmy, I'll... Completing the Oracion arc, i.e. defeating Irigor, Lullaby, and Ursa, the game then takes us to the Sub-Zero Emperor Leon arc, which features a cursed island, the resurrection of a demon named Righty, and the coolest ice fight the world has ever seen. Okay, it was a lot more cool in the anime. Speaking of coolness, one of the coolest things you can do in this game is the freedom in regards to customizing and boosting the moves of the characters. That's right, you were able to pretty much give any character any of the special moves in the game, except of course the obvious ones, like come on, you can't give Mr. Shirtless Popsicle fire powers for example. Imagine all the clothes he'll burn. After the Eisenwald arc comes the Sub-Zero Emperor Leon arc, which after playing pretty much repeats itself over and over again. You read the story from the arc, fight the main battles in the arc, and rinse and repeat until we get to the final arc the story mode takes place in. And that is the Tower of Heaven arc, in which the final boss battle is facing against this guy. So does the final boss in the story mode have some epic boss fight that will leave you breathless? No, it doesn't. The final boss battle this game offers is honestly quite underwhelming, as instead of some cool unique boss like a Lullaby, we instead pretty much fight another person with the same moveset and everything, with the only notable thing being the fact that you can fight him 3 times, and he's a lot harder, yay. Honestly, this was such an underwhelming way to end this game off from an otherwise pretty amazing game. Okay, all complaints aside, besides the story mode, the game pretty much offers what any typical fighting game has. There's a mission mode, a normal fighting mode, an option mode, a shop, and the customization mode I mentioned earlier. Overall, despite the underwhelming ending, the first Fairy Tail DS game is surprisingly underrated and fun. I can't think of anything. Now I can't even think of any way to segue into the next Fairy Tail game, which is Fairy Tail Gekitou Kardia Daiseidou, which is yet again made by Hudson, but the gameplay actually takes an interesting direction, as instead of getting a typical 2D fighter, we instead are getting a platform fighter similar to the styles of the Super Smash Bros. Games. Like the last game, the story mode pretty much follows the anime, but during different arcs like the Battle of Fairy Tail arc and the Oracion Seis arc for example, so there's really not much to mention there. However, I gotta talk about the gameplay of this game. While some things were removed, like customizing the characters and the overall fighting system the first game had, I gotta say, I really love the changes they made to this game, as they somehow made the game more chaotic and action-packed than the last game. I mean, we got items scattered all across the map, huge stages to parkour off of, and people flying all over the place. I swear, Timmy, if you say fan service one more time... Huh? Oh yeah, you're right. I will eat a Taco Bell, you sick. Frick, I forgot to mention, the controls are pretty much just like the last game, where B is the combo and attack button, the L and R button shows yourself for a limited time, and the D-pad, well, moves the character left and right. However, instead of A, S, Y being the special attack buttons, S and Y are the special attack buttons, while A is used to jump. Like the last game, you can charge yourself up by pressing down on the D-pad, and pressing the D-pad up while pressing one of the special attack buttons allows you to do a big jump while attacking. Like the last game, there's an MP meter, but unlike the last game, if you fill up this meter, watch and fare as Ursa does the ultimate super attack you never expect. Oh, that's it? That was lame. At least it's more exciting than watching Natsu win with the power of friendship for the millionth time. Whoa, who would have seen that coming? Speaking of not seeing things coming, one thing I did not expect to be in this game was the fact that there are items scattered throughout the entire game, which really adds to the chaotic fun. Like I said earlier, they got rid of the customization options, but instead of getting rid of all the buffs and items you could customize, some developer instead was like, what if we just threw all them buffs and items on the battlefield? That developer deserves a frickin' raise. In a nutshell, having items while fighting does take away from the competitive nature, and can be quite annoying for those who aren't fond of having luck in the competitive game. But let's be honest here, who the frick took a look at this game and went, oh my gosh, Natsu's side special is like totally overpowered, it needs to be cancelled. Oh wait, those people were called Super Smash Bros. Players. Another difference from the last game is the fact that there can now be not just 2 characters at a time, but 4 characters. That's right, this game just keeps throwing feature after feature to really make the multiplayer aspect much more fun and party game-like, which makes it even more frustrating that no one plays or has this game nowadays. I even hunted posters everywhere for a Fairy Tail DS party and no one still came. I'm in a poo-poo mood, so let's talk about the negatives of this game. Starting with how you can win the battles in this game. You might think it would be as simple as, well, knocking the opposing fighter, and it is. That is, if you manage to knock out the opposing fighter 3 times within the time limit. However, if one were to avoid attacking and just focus on collecting items instead, when the time limit is up, you can win instead by collecting the most points. That's right, during the fight, situations like this pop up all the time, as defeating someone isn't necessarily the main goal of this game, but rather you can win by the amount of KOs that you do, the amount of special attacks you do, and even the amount of items you collect. That's right, you could win a battle by collecting freaking items. Can you imagine a Revolutionary War being won by whoever collected the most boom boom sticks in a minute? What the bloody hell is this? I'm pissed. Bloody brilliant idea, Timmy, my dear Taco. Speaking of boom booms, the effects and overall looks of the game is, I guess. I definitely prefer how the last game looked much better, but in all fairness, they kinda had to make everything much more simple, from the explosions, effects, and character models to ensure that these games aren't too chaotic. Though for this game, it is hard to tell where your character is at times, as there really isn't any clear contrast that separates the foreground from the background, at least when staring at a DS screen. The last kinda negative thing to mention is the fact that despite the story mode, there pretty is nothing to do besides fight, do versus and survivor modes, train, and stare at pictures. I mean, come on, what is this, frickin' Jump Force? Other than these minor complaints, as well as the fact that it's slightly disappointing that we don't get any original stories for this game, it honestly is just a really fun party fighting game where you could grab some friends, get drunk, and enjoy the fun. It basically gives off the same vibes as a Mario Party game, and I'm all for it. Though for those looking for a more competitive game, the other Fairy Tail DS games would fit better for you. Fairy Tail is controversial on whether it's good or not, but despite that, the Fairy Tail DS games are pretty good and I encourage anyone to give it a shot. And I kinda wish these people would talk about these underrated Fairy Tail DS games as well. So, what did you think of these games, Timmy? Oh, Timmy, you want fan service? Fine. He's a freaking anime character, you meat brain dum-dum.